Hey, what's going on? Welcome. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell. Hopefully you return. If you are returning, welcome back. Kim and Kroy. Two police reports have been released to the public, and the cops were called 2 times.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, that's exactly what was going on. Apparently, Kim was supposed to be leaving, and I guess she was dragging her feet. But as Kim was leaving, Kroy was preventing her from leaving. And then the second incident is where Kroy took Kim's passport and purses, claiming to liquidate them for legal expenses. And Kim allegedly hit him in the back of the head. It's a lot. And this is why I say that when it comes to relationships, you got to ask questions. You got to get to know somebody. I know Kevin Samuels said that a man knows if he wants to marry a woman after like 6 months of dating, but even though you may have the feeling you want to marry someone and spend the rest of your life with them, you still want to take your time, because a lot of our relationships are not working out because people don't know each other. They're not asking questions. They're not asking anything that would be important to living with someone and sharing a life with someone. And because we're not asking questions or asking the right questions, and we're not really seeing how someone reacts under certain conditions and asking questions dealing to what if or knowing someone's background, because we're not taking the deep dive that's necessary, which can be seen as a part of vetting, because we're not doing those things, we have one of many situations. And in this one, Kim and Kroy were married for 11 years, and now they've separated. They're filing for divorce, and there's $1.1 million in unpaid taxes.
What? What the fuck?
Yes, and what's even crazier is Kroy had filed to adopt both of Kim's daughters from a previous relationship, and this was July 2013. So that was like 10 years ago. So I believe what has changed between that point where he's adopting someone else's kids and now are finances. And that's what's going to be alluded to in these police reports that I'm going to go over. Is the breakdown of their marriage came from the fact that Kroy was not making any money. Kim was the primary breadwinner, and yet she was spending a lot of money. And just the fact that there were bills not paid, Kim was blowing through cash, and she might have had some people on the side who was helping her financially, allegedly. And the fact that Kim is used to living a certain lifestyle provided by a man. It's just a lot of things that broke down in this. And when it boils down to it, I think the underlying factor is that Kim wanted to live a certain lifestyle that Kroy could not provide. And while Kim is throwing that in Kroy's face, Kroy is throwing in her face, your money's my money. Your money is our money. And you're blowing through it like no tomorrow. We got to be able to pay the bills. And Kim's response, in my opinion, this is all alleged, is that, well, you're supposed to be the breadwinner. You're supposed to be paying all the bills. You're not doing anything. So I'm going to spend my money the way I want to spend it. You worried about getting a job. He's like, you're spending all the money. You're gambling. You're taking all these losses, all these shopping sprees. That's why we can't pay any bills. It's just a whole mess. And I think more conversations, important conversations that should have and could have been had while they were dating or getting to know each other, all this would have came out. Kim may have not been open and honest with her lifestyle and how it was provided. And Kroy may have not had a plan after the NFL, because they met at an Atlanta Falcons football game. This was May 2010. And Kroy was released from the Buffalo Bills September 2nd, 2016, and he hadn't been in the NFL since. So from 2016 to 2023, you're looking at 7 years. So 7 years of him trying to figure it out, trying to get back to the income that he had when Kim met him, that attracted Kim to him. It's a recipe for disaster. That's why I say that a lot of women, they want a man who's going to be a provider. They want a man who's high value. However, most of this income that makes someone high value and a provider and a good catch is active income. And once that income that's active is no longer there, what do you do then? In most marriages, even though we get together for love, most of the time it's a business. And with it being a business and the woman wanting to have the same lifestyle she had before she met the guy or improved, and the man having to absorb the liabilities and expenses of the woman and having to maintain the lifestyle for her. And if not, she kind of looks down on him, and then there goes the attitude problem and all that. It's just a lot of stuff that needs to be unpacked when it comes to our relationships. And we have a great example of that right here. So we have both police reports. They are bad copies, I will say that much. And so while I zoom in, on the police reports, I'll just read them to you. I'm just showing them on the screen, even though it's kind of blurry, so that you know that I have them. This one is from May 2nd. When the cops showed up, they made Kim the victim. Kim called the cops in the second police report on May 4th. For both of them, Kim is put as the victim. The reason why this is important is because when this stuff comes up, and it's going to come up because they both have lawyers, when this stuff comes up in their divorce proceedings and it shows Kim as a victim on both times, it's going to make Kroy look negative. And then even with the narrative, because Kim's the victim, her part of the narrative is going to hold more weight than his, with him being the subject on both situations. So this one is from May 2nd, and this is the May 2nd narrative. And again, I know you can't read it. I'll read it to you. I'm just showing it to you so you know that I have the actual thing. You can find it online with a simple Google search. May 2nd, it says 23 hours. That's 10:23 p.m. local time. Officers responded to the residents regarding a domestic dispute. Once on the scene, the officer made contact with the subject, Kroy, at the front door. He advised he called the police.
In his feelings, he called me to tell me it's over again. He sending money again. Nigga, a dummy again. He think I'll claim again. If I did it once, I'ma do it again.
Yeah, so he called the police, and he's the subject, meaning he's the one the police are looking at as far as being guilty or not guilty. He advised he called the police because he and his wife, Kim, had been verbally fighting. He advised while he was trying to shower in the master bedroom's bathroom, Kim was refusing to leave. He advised this caused them to begin arguing, but nothing physical occurred. Kroy advised this was the first incident police was called involving the two. Kroy advised there were kids in the house, but they were asleep and weren't involved. Now he's saying that Kim is the reporting party. They got it as Kim. This is the one thing that's negative about police, is because if you're the person calling the cops, you're the one that needs help. When the cops showed up, he made Kim the reporting party and Kroy the subject. I mean, he might as well have not even called the cops. Yeah, he might as well not have called the cops, because it's possible that even though he called the cops, he could have been arrested. She reported that she was sitting in the bathroom while talking on her phone, and Kroy began shouting at her, telling her to leave, which she refused. Kim then advised when she tried to leave the room, Kroy would stand in the doorway, blocking her exit. What we have so far is Kroy was taking a shower. Kim was sitting in the bathroom while on her phone. She probably was trying to talk to him and drag her feet from leaving, because people will do that. They'll say, I'm leaving. Okay, cool. He gets in the shower. She goes in the bathroom and she wants to continue to argue and fight and fuss and continue to stir up stuff, because she's not really trying to leave. She just wants to kind of throw out that she's going to leave to put points on the scoreboard, if you will. And so Kim then advised when she tried to leave the room, Kroy would stand in the doorway, blocking her exit. In addition, she said he would chest bump her, which she implied would make her scared to move. Kim advised nothing physical occurred on this date. She just said that he would chest bump her, which she implied would make her scared to move. So she is saying that he physically would get in her space and chest bump her, then turns around and says nothing physical occurred on this date. And see, the cop should have heard that and been like, okay, you said he chest bumped you, but you're saying nothing physical occurred. You can't have it both ways. Which one is it? She also advised in the past he would prevent her from calling 911 by taking her phone whenever an argument would occur. Okay, if he's preventing her from calling 911, then that means he would not want the police to be called. So if he advised he called the police, but dispatch is saying that Kim is the reporting party, I'm believing that I think Kim is the one who called the cops. And Kroy may be lying. I hate the police officer put those two things in because it conflicts. Because if he called the police, but then dispatch is saying that Kim is the reporting party, that means Kim really called the police, according to this. I know the cop has to put everything that is said verbatim and can't really adjudicate when it comes to the narrative, but it sounds like Kroy's lying. Yeah, she was advised that Kroy could be charged with false imprisonment for keeping her against her will and obstructing while making a 911 call. She was unaware that she could call involving those offenses. She was advised to call the police if any of those offenses or any other ones occurred. She was informed that she could always go to a neighbor's house to call if she couldn't be at home. She implied that similar incidents occurred in the past, but she didn't want to call the police because she didn't want the media's attention. So then, okay, why was the police called now? You didn't want the media attention in the past, but the cops were called today. So what has changed from today than in the past? She still wanted to stay with him. And the reason why she called now is because she's done. Because she knows this is going to get media attention by her calling the police. And that's probably the only reason why the cops were called, because this police report and the one from May 4th, they're going to be weaponized in the divorce proceedings. In the past, if they get into a fight, it was kind of like, okay, we'll fight and then we'll make up later on. But in my opinion, the reason why this is different is because there's money involved. That financial piece is enough to make people not only want to break up, but stay broken up and go their separate ways. Yeah, that's what it is. That's why this time is different. She was advised to go to another room or stay with a friend for the night. She understood. She was also advised to document and record anything that could be used as evidence if this occurred again. See, why wasn't Kroy given that same information? Let's just say he did call the police this time, and let's say Kim also called the police, or he called the police and handed her the phone. I think that's what happened. We don't have access to the actual phone call, but I think what happened was they both were having a conflict. Kroy called the cops, and then Kim either was talking in the background or Kim got on the phone, and then she became the reporting party. That's what I'm thinking, because if the cops showed up and they're both just kind of like sitting there chilling, they both probably are like not wanting to leave. They know the police are going to show up. They're doing this song and dance, but instead of it being in private, now they're involving the cops. I'm willing to believe that's what happened. I don't know. But I'm willing to believe that Kroy called the cops. The operator was like, let me speak to your wife. He gave the phone to Kim, and then Kim was put down as the reporting party. The cop then spoke to Kroy, advising him of what he told Kim. He was advised to separate for the night so things wouldn't escalate. He advised Kroy of the offenses he could be charged with if he prevented Kim from calling 911 or forcing her to stay in the house. He stated he understood. No children were involved during this verbal dispute. Since there were no allegations, evidence of a physical dispute, no arrest was made. Kroy was lucky. Okay, I know people right now that they would have went to jail. When the cops show up, they looking to arrest somebody. There is no, well, we're going to kind of see what happens. No, you're going to jail. If the cops are called, you're going to jail, point blank, period. The officer spoke to Kroy, advising him of what he told Kim. He was advised to separate for the night so things wouldn't escalate. So if Kroy is preventing Kim from leaving and she is the victim and he's told to not force her to stay, why is he being told to leave? What I mean is, if she wants to leave, the cop is there, she can now leave. Because if he's allegedly preventing her from leaving, now she can leave. But now he's got to leave. He's adopted those daughters, so the children in the home are just as much his as they are hers. Yet he has to leave. Even though he's allegedly preventing her from leaving, the cop tells him to leave for the night. See, when the police show up, they do some of the dumbest stuff. Because if a woman tells me, okay, I'm trying to leave and he keeps preventing me from leaving, okay, get a couple of things. You can leave right now. Not, oh, he's preventing you from leaving. Okay, I'm going to have him go for the night. And the reason why I would say that she should leave, especially if she's claiming that he's preventing her from leaving, and that's what he said in the narrative when the cops first showed up, because he could be told to leave and then he goes back and he hurts somebody. But see, if she leaves, he's not going to know where she's going. She has a greater chance of being safe like that. So to me, the cop was kind of negligent in telling him to leave, and he'll know where she's at, even though allegedly he was preventing her from leaving. This is crazy. Cops do the most bonehead things. All right, so this is the next one from May 4th. All right, and then again, they have Kim as the victim, and they got Kroy as the subject. So on May 4th, at approximately 6:49 p.m., two officers went to the home in reference to a domestic dispute. Upon arriving, he met with Kim, who stated that her husband, Kroy, had taken her designer purses. So again, they have Kim as the reporting party. Kroy allegedly took her designer purses, jewelry, and her passport and locked them in a safe. Kim stated that Kroy changed the safe combination to where it no longer used their code, but rather used a key that he hid from her. Kim further advised that Kroy had taken property that was premarital assets totaling $175,000. So you mean to tell me your purses, your jewelry, and your passport all total to be $175,000? Wow. Kim advised that the purses he took were about $150,000 to replace, and the jewelry was about $25,000 to replace. Kim alleged that Kroy had taken property that did not belong to him and was a premarital asset. I met with Kroy, who stated that he believed that the purses and jewelry were marital property. Kroy stated that he took several purses because he planned to liquidate them to help offset some costs. Can't do it. Yeah, you can't do that. Anytime you're going through a separation from somebody or a divorce, a situation where you live with somebody, anything that they were using during the time you were together, married or not, you can't take it. Like if somebody moves out, you both have to agree on what's going to be leaving or sold. Whatever you can't agree on, you got to go to civil court for it. If you take something and try to sell it or hide it or destroy it or whatever, then you can get in trouble for that. Kroy further advised that he and Kim are discussing a possible divorce or separation, but that he did not have the resources available to leave the home. He didn't have the money. Yeah. That's the theory right there. He's been broke for years and he didn't have the money, and he probably was going to use the money from selling her stuff to get his own place, to pay a deposit somewhere, go into a hotel or motel. See, Kim had all the money. She wasn't trying to give him any money. In a way, that's financial abuse, but most courts aren't going to look at it like that unless you have a really good lawyer, which if he doesn't have the resources to leave, he can't hire a good lawyer. Yeah, this is a mess. Kroy is at her mercy. See, this is what he should have done. You should do as well. So if you're involved with somebody, whether you live with them or not, if you're getting majority of your resources or all of your resources from them, when you decide that you don't want to be with them anymore, you have to quietly quit. And you have to start squirreling away money for the day that you actually are going to leave. While you're quietly quitting, that's where you're going to be doing the bare minimum, and you're going to be doing stuff in the background to plan actually leaving with resources. Because if you have a joint account, all the money in that joint account is considered marital assets or joint assets. So you want to open up a secret bank account by yourself and start squirreling away money in that secret account that's by yourself. So that way, when it comes time to leave, instead of you trying to sell your woman's stuff for $175,000, you can have that as cash and you can do what you want with it and have freedom. A lot of people will not leave a relationship because they're financially tied to someone, or they won't leave a relationship because they physically don't have anywhere to go, or they can't just pack the kids up and pack a couple of things and leave while the person goes to work. There's a whole host of reasons why people can't leave. And it's because a lot of people, they won't really plan to leave. They will plan to cheat.
There's some hoes in this house. There's some hoes in this house.
Yeah, most of the time when people are planning stuff outside of their relationship or marriage, they'll plan to cheat with somebody, but they won't plan to leave. And that just creates a toxic environment. Because once you cheat on somebody, that ends the relationship. And if two people decide to reconcile and stay together, that creates a brand new relationship where people can't trust each other. So if you're going to plan anything outside of your relationship or marriage, it should be to plan to leave, quietly quit, start stacking away money, plan to leave. That way you don't have to be there for all of this foolishness. Kroy alleged that Kim has a gambling problem and had lost a large sum of money recently. I advised Kroy that I could not determine what property belonged to him or Kim was marital property or premarital property. I informed Kroy that this was a civil matter that would need to be discussed with an attorney. Kroy advised that he understood and had retained an attorney. I further advised Kroy that he could not keep Kim's passport or any other personal identification documents if she were requesting their return. I asked Kroy if he could take a look in the safe to have him return Kim's passport and any other items he believed may belong to her. Kroy agreed and escorted me downstairs to the basement where the safe was located. Kroy asked that Kim stay upstairs while he retrieved the key to the safe that he had hidden from Kim. See, this is a mess right here. This is a mess because the safe would be considered joint property. So you can't keep her out of the safe. It's the same way where if you live with somebody, whether you're married or not, if you live with them or they live with you or you live together, whatever, you can't keep them from accessing doors outside the home or inside the home. So the fact that he had a key that he hid from Kim, the cops should have been like, you can't really hide that from her because that safe is both of y'all. She was supposedly getting her items from the safe and would no longer need it. But I think she's supposed to still have access to it in case she needs to put stuff in there. But anyway, I digress. So Kroy opened the safe and I observed other miscellaneous valuable items, but did not observe any purses or handbags inside. The miscellaneous valuable items could have been Kim's. It could have been marital property or premarital property. You don't know. They both have to have access to everything. That's the reason why when people get married or they're planning on getting married, it's good to have a prenuptial agreement and a postnuptial agreement so that whatever you come in with, it's already determined you're going to be leaving out with it. Or anything that you plan on getting while together, you can leave out with it with a postnuptial agreement. So many people get together and they do it off the basis of love, which is fine, but marriage is a business and it's the business of you. So either you're doing business or business is doing you. Yeah. The officer didn't observe any purses or handbags inside. Kroy reached inside and handed me a passport and a Louis Vuitton case that he stated was Kim's. I asked him to double check the safe to ensure Kim did not have any more personal items inside. See, instead of the officer asking him to give Kim stuff, he should have been told to go to the side because he has the key on his person. And then Kim should have been able to go in the safe and check for anything on her own. The cops dropped the ball with this. I asked Kroy if there was anything else he was willing to return to Kim besides the passport, and Kroy did not produce any other items. Kroy then advised that Kim had punched him in the back of the head during an earlier altercation concerning the disputed property.
Wow.
I asked Kroy if he had any injuries or needed medical attention, and he declined. So, okay, what's the point of telling the officer that she hit you because of this property, but you're not trying to get any medical attention, and then you said you don't have any injuries? See, Kroy, I'm not doubting that happened, but if you're going to tell a police officer that someone hit you or hurt you and you want it to be believed, then you got to get the medical attention. Because if not, it just sounds like you're being petty. Kroy stated that he did not have any visible injuries or evidence to prove that Kim had caused any injuries to him other than an audio recording of the incident. I asked Kroy that I could not make a decision about a primary aggressor for a Family Violence Act allegation based on an audio recording only. I then explained to Kroy how an allegation of Family Violence Act would work, and Kroy advised that he did not wish to see anything happen to Kim. I later explained to Kroy how he could seek an arrest warrant for any criminal act if he believed he could provide evidence up to a judge. Well, okay, he can't provide any evidence, obviously, based off of what was just said, but the officer should have included in this narrative him asking Kim, did she hit him? Because if Kim was like, yeah, I did hit him in the head, then that's it. Kroy stated she hit him. She admits to her hitting him. That's it. He doesn't have to go to the hospital or show physical injuries. She admitted to doing it, but the cop didn't even ask. And it's because a lot of time when these cops show up, the woman is automatically the victim and the man is automatically the villain or the subject. Kim said that he got her purses. He went down to the safe and opened it up. No purses were produced. Those purses may have already been sold, just like Kim's wigs. Kroy did state that he believed the purses and the jewelry were marital property. And Kroy did state that he took several purses because he planned to liquidate them to help offset some costs. Kroy shot himself in the foot right there. Because here's what's going to happen. Kim just went on record saying that the purses and jewelry totaled $175,000. Kroy admits that he took both purses and jewelry, and Kroy was not able to produce the jewelry and the purses to Kim when the cops were there. When Kim goes to civil court, she's going to get $175,000 from Kroy.
Shots fired!
Yeah, she's going to get that money. And see, what's crazy is, let's say he bought the stuff for her. She's about to be able to get the money from that and plus other damages because, see, Kim now has the ability to start trumping up some stuff. She can go to civil court and be like, yeah, Kroy, and that situation was 175, but there was other times where he took stuff that totaled up to be $500K. And then a judge might go ahead and rule in her favor because he already admitted to taking purses and jewelry. Yeah. Kroy is probably not used to dealing with a drama queen. He's not used to dealing with the cops. Is in over his head. Dude is like 37 and he's dealing with somebody that's used to being in drama. Kim is 45. You're talking about an 8-year difference. She's used to drama. She's used to dealing with stuff like this, probably even dealing with the police. Kroy's in over his head. He's out of his league. He was out of his league from the get-go. She saw that he played for the NFL. She saw him as a snack, as lunch, and he's already been eaten.
And another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey.
And Kroy, he fell for it. And this is why I say when it comes to relationships, even marriage, you got to take your time. You got to ask the questions. Because if you don't inspect, you can't expect. So what do you all think? Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Thumbs up the video, share your social media, subscribe, click the notification bell. Until next time, I see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Go forth, do great things, and I'm out. Peace.